You go. We'll start early. Get to bang the gavel. Call the meeting to order. The date is Monday, February 3rd, and the motion that the council meeting be approved as presented, the agenda. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Young, Councillor Lockett, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Any declaration of interest tonight? And is Councillor, no, McConnell on? No. No regrets? Maybe later. Okay. So no declaration of interest. We have no presentations, but we have two delegations tonight. The first one is St. Lawrence Academy with Annika and Linda. And then after that, we're going to go with Jane Hess, where every kid in our community is for Leeds and Grenville. So since we've got two, we've got 10 minutes each. So floor is yours.
Sorry, pardon me. I thought it was because Colin.
All right, I'll just hand these out if you want to each take a package and then hand it down.
Sure.
Fantastic. I'll be referring to some of that quickly. But it's for you to hold on to and take a look at. Honorable council members, mayor, and we'll crew you around the edges. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Annika and I stand before you today as passionate advocates for the St. Lawrence Academy, but mostly on behalf of the St. Lawrence Academy Bursary Fund. This is a scholarship program, and it's not just about financial aid, but access, opportunity, and the future of our community. Our K-8 school provides an education that nurtures academic excellence, leadership, and character. But for about 30 to 40% of our families, it's only possible because of the SLA bursary that we offer to people who apply for the school. Without it, many bright, capable children who call this town home, would be left without access to the very education that can shape their futures and change their lives. Right now, only about 4 or 5 of our 42 families in our school are considered high income. It doesn't exactly fit with what the mentality is towards thinking about St. Lawrence Academy. Immediately, everyone thinks of high income families, elite families, but it isn't the case with us. This means that the vast majority of our students come from working class families who are striving to give their children the best possible future. We hope that as a community, you will stand with us. Our tagline is building leaders of tomorrow, but we really do want these future leaders to reflect the diversity of our town. We want every child, regardless of their income, to have a fair shot at success. I will throw it over to one of our alum, Annika Squires, who is a graduate from the St. Lawrence Academy and also a recipient for her years at SLA of the Bursary Fund. And so I'll throw it over to her.
Good evening, everyone. So my name's Annika. I began at SLA in grade 6. I had switched to SLA because of the one-on-one attention that I truly needed in order to catch back up and be at the same level as my peers. I really needed to focus in my reading, writing, and my math. At SLA, I was not only able to catch up, but also become excellent and beyond my grade level in all of those. I also developed more than just my reading, writing, and math, but I also found passions in public speaking, art, music, drama, and sports. SLA taught me how to adapt to having a learning disability and not let it drag me down, and instead use it and share my story and support others. None of this would have been at all possible for me if it wasn't for the bursary program, and I'm truly grateful for it. I truly don't know where I would be today if it wasn't for it, and I'm very successful thanks to the teachers and the staff and the bursary program at SLA.
Thank you, Annika. As a quick aside, Annika did enter our school with the statement that she said she would never learn to read and write, and this was the statement that she'd been given by the teachers. Annika's situation fits most of the students that are coming into school right now, as most of our students after COVID-19 have dropped down to at least 2 and 3 grade levels below what they should be able to do. And teachers are overwhelmed within the board. But what we want to make sure that we do is anyone who does want the alternative of SLA, that there are no doors closed and that every single child will get that chance if their parents are looking for that chance for them. And that's what we offer. I have included in your package also just a sheet of information about what a private school brings to a town and how it does benefit Prescott and the surrounding area in many different levels. You'll also see in your package 2 different bursary recipients who've given their personal story. Annika's one of them. Annika, we're very proud of it because she did come in thinking she wouldn't read and write. She became a public speaking professional and is now the student rep trustee for TIS High School. And it's just a wonderful story of overcoming. And we are filled with these types of children, these types of stories. And we're so thankful to have people supporting our bursary fund. We're working on legacy donations as well, which will hopefully build a future that will have a strong legacy fund consistently available to SLA students who want to change their lives. And also we are visiting all different townships that touch St. Lawrence Academy, and that includes Augusta Township, Cardinal, Brockville, and Prescott. And we are hopeful that we can build up this bursary fund so that we never have to say no to a family, that there isn't enough funds. It is a loss to FLA. What we do is adjust tuition to match their financial abilities. A third-party company actually takes all of their financial information and assesses them and writes to us to say, this family can afford 50%, 40%, or this family can't afford to attend at all. And what we hope to do is that isn't the barrier, that we can just say you have a full ride to come to this school. So that is our goal. And we are excited to say there is definitely a future, but we do need everyone's help to make that happen. And that's what we're here today. Is there any questions?
I'll open up the floor to questions. So if anyone has questions. Councillor Campbell?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Shankar. This sounds great. I've met a lot of your students and they're wonderful. But how are you going to get through that stigma of people thinking that it's just the rich that can go there with this bursary? How are you advertising?
So by doing things like this, by speaking, we have had some events that we've been able to speak at. My job has finally transitioned into being full-time, the voice of SLA. So I'm able to I've joined the chambers and I'm trying to become much more visible within the communities that we service. And so we are doing that type of advertising in that we're trying to get into the conversation and be a face in all different aspects. And of course, we're using our students as well. We've asked them to help us spread the word. So by sending out newsletters to our bursary supporters, and we're doing regular newsletters and regular mail outs to our supporters who are usually in the older generation and appreciate that paper instead of the email. And then of course we do have advertisements as well about the bursary fund.
And you do have alumni that are,
Yes.
really on board and.
That's right. So we do have a group of alumni. We have secured funds of $28,000 so far this year to support. We have given out over $50,000 worth of scholarships. And so my job this year is to make up that loss. So that's why I'm attending different delegations in different communities and working to fill that gap.
And does any amount help? Like I read your pamphlet here and it talks about sponsoring a student or whatever, but does any amount?
Any amount helps, that's right, yeah. Some people have given us 500, some people are giving us a monthly donation, and it really is up to the person who wants to give and to the towns, what they feel in their hearts they want to give. If there is a desire to be recognized for the donation, we are looking into creating more labeled and designated scholarships. So certain shining students who have overcome, or we do have some awards for those who've overcome barriers, and perhaps scholarships once we get really control of what we're trying to create, because this is quite new, what I'm doing, that we will have designated scholarships that students can win because they've overcome obstacles.
And those
That's the future.
scholarships would be to go on to further education or within the.
Well, my ultimate dream would be that we would have, especially with the legacy funds, because we have secured a $750,000 and a $250,000 legacy funds from 2 individuals. I mean, that's about passing on and stuff, so we're not wishing for that to happen, but when that does happen, those specific legacy funds, we look to designate to actually post-secondary education. So becoming a presence at the graduation in high schools of our alumni students who need that extra help further on down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, sorry. Councilor Kirkwood?
Through you, Mayor Shankar. Linda, is the price here, 5,125, is that for the year?
That is for, so at this point, those scholarships we cover 50% of, up to 50%.
50%,
So that's a 50% of tuition.
10,250.
Yeah, the full price tuition you'll see in the single leaf pamphlet that's within your package. There's the numbers there.
Just a question, how many current students are Prescott residents?
Our Prescott residents, so over 50% are Prescott residents at this point.
Over 50%.
Yeah, we get them from Cardinal, Augusta, Algonquin, Brockville, and Athens and Iroquois. There's a family that drives in from Iroquois.
So the bursary here, would that be you're asking multiple townships and municipalities, right? So that bursary would be one, or would it be?
It would be put into a pool at this point to cover the lots of bursaries we've already awarded. Yeah. So like I said, just over 50,000 has been awarded for the 24-25 school year. In years past, that would just be a loss to SLA, but our staff have been working at 34,000 a year for about 15 years, and we just couldn't keep that up, especially after COVID, when so many staff, teachers, and the board were going on disability. A lot of our teachers, we would lose them a year after we had them. So we are working to make it so that our teachers aren't on the poverty line. And so that's when it became my duty as executive director to cover that loss so that our teachers could be compensated properly. And we do have a 5-year plan to bring them up to at least the minimum tuition or teacher salary when they start teaching. So we do hope to bring our minimum up to 60,000 a year in 2 more years. So that was a huge jump from 34 to hopefully 60. They're at 45 and 50 right now, starting salaries.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Young?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. When does, forgive me for not knowing this, but does a private school receive any funding at all from the ministry? So it's totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm meeting with Steve Clark and Michael Barrett about that specifically. You know, that extra box that says private school on your taxes. It would be great, but we also do enjoy the fact that we have freedom to teach the Ontario curriculum, but teach more. So extend beyond that. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
At this point, we'll take what we can get, yeah.
That's a huge commitment.
It is, yeah.
Well, thank you, Linda and Annika, for coming in today.
Thank you so
Great.
much, everyone.
Appreciate that. All right, Jane, you're up.
Good job.
If I could say something about St. Lawrence Academy, I mean, my husband was a principal of Canada for years and years, but St. Lawrence Academy does play a role in our education system, and it's very important. And most recently, one of our friend's daughters, my husband encouraged her to send her daughter there because that's the kind of education that child needed at this time. So it does play a really important role, even though I'm absolute fan of the public education system, there is a role for private education in our community. Sure. And I'm an advocate for children and youth, so
Yeah.
wherever that happens to be, that's important. Anyways, I'm here tonight from Every Kid in Our Community because I'm the new coordinator. Last time I was here, I was the community impact officer at United Way. So I'm always selling something, but it's always the same. It's around children and youth and healthy communities, and they all kind of fit together. Which is what SLA is talking about as well. So I have a PowerPoint presentation. Did I send it to you? Oh, here. I do apologize. I will send it so you can have it in your package. But what I'm talking about tonight is start with hello. So you have buttons that are going around and there's start with hello. And so it must have been my 2 weeks in Mexico that put me off. And one of the things that Every Kid in Our Community, which is a coalition of 45 child and youth serving providers, including the school boards, the Catholic School Board, the French Catholic, the English French board, the French product board, et cetera. So we all get together because we want to improve the lives of children, youth, and families in our communities in Leeds and Grenville. And Every Kid in Our Community has been happening since about 2002. And when I used to work at the health unit, I was one of the original kind of founders of Every Kid in Our Community. Forgot to put my timer on. I do apologize.
It's all right, the mayor has.
And so, we've been trying to, kind of work to make our communities better for children and youth forever. So Every Kid in Our Community in the last number of years has been basically based on the developmental assets framework from the Search Institute. And developmental assets are important for us to build positive relationships with children and youth in our communities. So the Start With Hello campaign that we have going in Leeds and Grenville right now was adapted from the Sandy Hook Promise from that time during the Obama administration where there was that shooting at Sandy Hook. And basically we want to create an environment where the children feel safe, included, valued, and connected using a developmental relationship framework. So things like express care, challenge growth, provide support, share power, and expand possibilities. So those are the kinds of things that we want to do for children and youth in our community. And Start With Hello, we went out and we did some research with children through R&J Youth, children and youth. What do they want people like us, adults, to do around with children and youth? So they want to make conversations with them. They want more places for children and youth to hang out. They want someone they can talk to about anything. And they want us to be inclusive and give them a chance to show that they do have a lot to offer. And the student that was here tonight, I heard that she was skating. So those kinds of things that help children and youth develop. So assets are those kinds of positive experiences, skills, opportunities, qualities, and values that kids need to succeed. So external assets, support, so things that you can do as a municipality. Empowerment, giving them the power to do things that they want in their way. Setting boundaries and expectations. Any of you that are parents understand the concept of boundaries and expectations. Constructive use of time. Internal assets, a commitment to learning. We talked about that tonight as well. Positive values, social competencies, and a positive identity. So we know that more assets, the better. And these are things that prevent kids from getting into behaviors that are negative to their own experience and to our community's experience as well. So Start With Hello activities. I'm doing presentations to all of the municipalities in Leeds and Grenville, which there are 13. And we do also have an asset builder award every year. And there's been some interesting asset builders over the past from Prescott, and particularly the staff at McDonald's, because of the contact with South Grenville. And so what happened is, kids go into McDonald's and they get their food, and the staff at McDonald's, how are you? How are things going today? How was your exam? So they were nominated a number of years ago, some of the staff at McDonald's, as asset builders in the community by youth from South Granville, you know, because of that positive relationship that they were developing. So when we say start with hello, it's when you're downtown in Prescott and you see a kid with a hoodie on the other side of the street, that you cross over and say, hi, how are you today? What's going on? And they probably look at you and go, that's pretty weird. But those are the kinds of things when we talk about the Start with Hello campaign. So on our Every Kid in Our community website, we have all of the resources that are listed. There's a poster. You could have something in your municipal building saying Start with Hello. You as counselors can wear the button. I see that you have yours on. And so people will say to you, what's that all about? And so you talk about the fact that you want to be engaging to children and youth and you want to engage them. And this is the way that you do it. And it's simply saying, hi, how are you today? And what's going on with you? So I also put sent around icebreaker cards and just some information on developmental assets. So you can take this on as a municipality, you can take this on as a council. The other thing that I'm interested in doing through the concept of the community safety and well-being plans, which we know we did a number of years ago, and they're kind of sitting there and they need some action. And I think there is now going to be some requirement of action, is that when you think about your municipality and your municipal plans, you think about how you build built environment into your plan or climate action into your municipal plans. You can also work at building the things around children and youth in your plans as well. And so Every Kid in Our community, with the assistance of the health unit, is building a municipal toolkit for you as a municipality to look at when you think about your planning for your municipality. It's in draft form yet, so I can't share it with you at this point in time, but I will make sure that there's a copy that comes so that you can think about it as you plan in your next, fiscal year, et cetera. And why is it important for municipalities to think about children, youth, and families? Because we want those kids to become productive members of the community. We want them to stay or return to the community. We want them to come back to Prescott. And we want them to actively engage in their community when they are here, either as youth or then later on as adults. This has information about mental health in it, the current Ontario Youth Drug Survey from 2023. What are some of the issues with children and youth? So those are the things to think about too, as you're putting it together. And there are recommendations in this when it will come to you on strategies of what you can use as a municipality, give youth a voice, celebrate and recognize youth success, provide and support opportunities for youth to connect with youth, provide and support opportunities for youth to connect with the community and other members of the community, not just youth, and then celebrate the community asset builders. So we do have the, as I mentioned with McDonald's, we do have the Asset Builders Awards annually every June. We hold it at the Y. It will probably go out about February, and I can highlight that to Lindsay to put on your agenda if you think of people within Prescott that are asset builders and you would like to have acknowledged from your community. And so that's my presentation, and look forward to working with you as a municipality to see how you can embed more positive things for children and youth in your community. And I don't want to say that municipalities don't do that. I think there's lots of wonderful positive things. You think of your new arena, et cetera, for children and youth. But I guess when I think about municipal plans, how you work that in specifically and made it an obvious thing that you want to work on in your community. Any questions? I have 2 minutes and 38 seconds.
Good job. Councillor Kirsty.
Through you, Mayor Shankar. Jane, sorry, I might have missed this. Who is Every Kid in Our community under? Who's?
It's a coalition of like-minded people who are service agencies that serve children, youth, and families. So we come together. I'm paid. I'm 14 hours a week. I'm paid through the Ministry of Community and Social Services. Quite a number of years ago, we met as a coalition originally in 2002, and it was just because we got to get together and make sure we're not double doing or, all of that kind of thing. And what can we work on together to improve the lives for children, youth, and families in our community? And then about 10 years into that, the Ministry of Children, I think it was Children, Youth and Families at the time, it changed its names a number of times, said, we want to know what's going on around children and youth in our community. We have a bit of money to help you pay a coordinator. So Mark Fancy was the coordinator for a number of years, paid partly through that and partly through the early years money that is now with the Ministry of Ed. And so she was a full-time coordinator for a number of years. So it's a bunch of like people coming together under the auspices of.
Right. And I guess my question is, you kind of hit on it, like there's a various groups have appeared in front of us, different groups focused on youth. And so I guess my question is,
We're all working together.
Somebody working together, is somebody connecting, like you said, to make sure there's no overlapping.
In my role as the coordinator for Every Kid Coalition, I'm the connector.
So with youth, or Connect Youth.
Connect Youth, John Howard Society, RNG Youth. They all still have their own mandate, their own ministries,
Right.
their own requirements, but we want to work together. So Start with Hello is a campaign that we've done together.
Right.
And that all the agencies are doing together.
Good.
Does that
It does. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, there is quite a few groups, like you said, they each have their own
I
mandate.
think our coalition is 45 groups.
Which requires, they all require their own funding.
Oh, yes, I'm not here.
No, I get it. No, I'm wondering where this group fit in. It sounds like this group is at the top, trying to bring all the
Yeah,
other
so we're
groups
a
together.
coalition, and we have a league table of 45 members, probably 20 show up regularly on a monthly basis. We meet from September to June on the first Wednesday morning of the month. We have work groups. We have the developmental assets work group, which is where Start with Low came out of. We have Triple P parenting work group. We have a data work group, and we're looking at trying to pull the data that's everywhere together to make some sense of it. So it would then help you as a municipality looking at all the child and youth data in one place, like the early development instrument, the Ontario Drug Survey, all of those things together. And I don't know if you've heard about results-based accountability and looking at that concept for our community. We know that sexual health clinics with birth control doesn't prevent teen pregnancy, but it's related. So that's what results-based accountability is all about, and trying to look at that and then working together as a community. And I think we do work quite well together, but there's probably a lot. I mean, this is the first time I think as a coordinator, anyone's gone out to municipalities and spoke to municipalities. I did put a grant into PHAC, which is Public Health Agency of Canada, to try to get some money so that we could actually have more money to help municipalities embed developmental assets and things like that into their municipal plans. So, but I didn't get it. I keep trying.
Sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
And so from these meetings of the coalition, do you have municipal staff or council that come to these?
No. And if any municipal person would like to be part of it, we have a open chair at every meeting.
Okay, then last one, this Start with Hello campaign. Like when I think of where this, could be in the library, will there be literature there for the kids that come there, or at the ACCC in Prescott, the rink? Is that stuff out there in the community?
It's with the agencies that are part of Every Kid in our community, and I'm taking it out to municipalities so that it gets beyond the child and social service provider group.
Okay.
And so then if there's an interest from your municipality, for your new arena or for your library, we can work with those places to have that information available.
Perfect, thank you.
Councillor Byrne, that'd be great.
Thank you. Speaking of the library, I'm on the library committee, and libraries are becoming big hubs for youth. So,
Good.
right? I mean, we have a Dungeon and Dragon group that goes every week. There are different activities. There's a puzzle group. There's so many youth there right now. I mean, I would encourage you to reach out to the libraries and in the communities and see if they'd like to be a part of.
The libraries were connected at one time when we, particularly around Read to Every Kid. If you remember the old Read to Every Kid program, which we haven't done for a period of time, that did take some funds because we did buy those books and then they went out to all the early years centers and the libraries. Sometimes it's, who you have, so that the head librarian for Leeds and Grenville has retired, so that's kind of where that connection was. But that's certainly a great place to connect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Burton. That's, Jane, is this just a Leeds and Grenville that you're in charge of? And is it a provincial-wide mandate?
No, it's interesting. I was just on the Ontario Coalition of Child and Youth Coalitions today. And everyone is kind of a little bit different depending on where you are. We're lucky in that we have a little bit of money. Some places it's just every agency that sits at that league table has to contribute dollars. And we know for instance, Bonnie at the South Grenville Food Bank is a member. She has no money to contribute. Some agencies do, some don't. So, we are looking at things certainly in the Southeast, and particularly now that we have the Southeast Health Unit. So the 3 child and youth tables from here to Hastings we're going to try to work together and try to get our data to be more common so that we have that available.
Great.
So, is there a provincial network? Informally, yes, we're meeting.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you. Leanne, can you grab me?
Oh, sorry.
I have more.
I want some too.
And I have more if you'd like to.
Sorry.
Maybe from the library, or would you like some for the library?
Sure. Absolutely.
Oh, Dan.
And I have more. Yeah, and this is more adult focused for those adults to connect, but yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Safe
Jane.
driving.
All right, we're going to move along. Next is minutes of the previous council meeting. So the motion is that council minutes dated January 27th, 2025 be accepted as presented. Mover and seconder, all right.
Okay.
Councilor Campbell, Councilor Kirkby. Any questions or concerns about the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Tonight, there's no communications or petitions, so we'll move on to consent reports. There's a motion is that all items listed on the consent reports section of the agenda be accepted as presented. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor Burton, Councillor Kirkby, anything in there that you guys want to pull out, or can we move on? We're good? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. No committee reports tonight. The mayor's portion, we were just here last week. So in the last week, we had a grand opening for Infinity Storage for Jonathan Beck. That was quite interesting. I think he had 19 units, 10 by 15. So he's got plans for more. Yeah, so that was very good. There was a Chamber of Commerce meeting at Little Barcelona, which was very, very nice. And they've done a really nice job in there to make it welcoming. Saturday, we had the Special Olympics had a special donut. So went in there to support them with a few of our counselors were there. And then we went from there right over to B. Ostrander's 80th birthday. So we took her a little scroll, and her husband Mike was on council here for many years, but B's a wonderful lady. So we had a nice little chat with her for quite a while there, and that was good. So I'm going to move along, and we're going to start on this side today. So I'll get Ruth going. Councillor Kirkby.
I don't have much to report. I did attend the Special Olympic fundraiser at the Tim Hortons in Prescott, and then went to B. Ostrander's birthday presentation. Very nicely decorated inside. 74 pieces of wall art,
Yes.
which is an impressive number. I think I have 7. So, very impressive. Just some town operation stuff. I think everybody remembers when we left January 27th, it was that big windstorm.
Hmm.
And when we left, Rito St. Lawrence was already on the job, taking care of the power outage over on Dibble Street, north of us here. The town had lots of debris, garbage, and tree branches to pick up the next day, which was picked up pretty quick. Just something to note for the public, on January 30th, we had a water main break on King and Russell. Just a shout out to the water work people and Ken Miller, our contractor that came in, worked over 15 hours to restore the water services back. Just to note that the new water tower has a high flow alarm on it, which triggered early detection, which also then allowed the water staff to turn on an extra pump, so there wouldn't be, the pressure loss wouldn't be as bad. 15 hours working in -15 weather. I think that shows pretty good dedication
Water.
to, by our operational staff. And just a side note that, we've had quite a bit of snow off and on, and roads and sidewalks, everything looks good. Thank you.
And I think our guys were on the scene within 15 minutes.
Yeah, from the time that they were notified that absolutely they.
At 1 a.m. on a Sunday. So that's amazing as well. Thank you, Councillor Kirkby. Councillor Campbell.
Through you, Mayor Shankar, I attended the Infinity Storage grand opening. There were quite a few people there, so it was great. Got pictures taken and filmed, proud parents. Great to have another business in town. And tomorrow night I'm attending the fire admin.
Great, thank you. Deputy Mayor Burton.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. We have a planning advisory meeting coming up next week, and I have a Shakespeare meeting tomorrow night.
Do we know the names of those shows? Not yet?
Not yet.
Don't want to share that?
Yep.
All right. Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I attended a few of the events as well with my fellow councillors. The ACTAV newsletter went out today, so you can find a copy on prescott.ca, or if you already have it delivered to your inbox, it will be there. And it was a nice, what was I trying to say? It was a nice spread of our downtown professional services for a change. So we often think of downtowns as being our retail, but there's also a really great professional branch as well. So it was nice to see that and all highlighted there. And that's all for me.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Councillor Lockett.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I attended some of these events that have already been discussed. We did have our St. Lawrence Lodge meeting. We did do it by Zoom because there was a flu bug in the lodge. And we're entering into budget discussions, which proves to be challenging.
All right, we'll leave that at that, eh?
That's right.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lockett. All right. That's great. So we're going to move on to staff reports. We have 4 tonight. The first one is for information only, and it's the 2025 budget, the transportation and parks and recreation. So Matthew, you got this one?
Thank you very much. So we're just going to walk through these two portions of the budget. So we're a little bit behind. I do apologize. I was sick last week, so we're just going to kind of move things out a week and then go from there. So our next meeting on February 18th, we'll go through environmental, water, wastewater, planning and development, and then revenue and taxation will follow to March 3rd. When we take a look at transportation services, we're going to go through operations, paved roads, bridges and culverts, roads, traffic, sidewalks, winter roads, sidewalk, and then parking lot, street lighting, and river. So when we take a look at operations, that's where the vast majority of our operations or public works staff is housed in that budget. An increase of about just a little over 4% from one year to the next. Paved roads is where we spend the vast majority of our paving and OSIF grant. So OSIF is the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund grant, and it decreased this year by 22,000. So there's an offsetting decrease for repaving as well. Bridges, every 2 years, we do an inspection of the bridge. That's due up in 2025, as well as we added bridge insurance to our policy in 2024. So that's the reason that you're seeing the increase there. Police traffic, there's mostly down to items such as repairs, that sort of thing in terms of the increases. Sidewalks, no change from every year. Winter roads, really the increase there is addressing salt, and that's increasing. The sidewalk for winter, that is actually the sidewalk plow debt repayment. And originally, when we budgeted and it was going to be over 7 years. However, Infrastructure Ontario doesn't offer a 7-year debt repayment anymore, so it's over 5 years. So you're seeing the effect of that going from 21 to 37. Parking lots is simply the small amounts that we have in relation to electricity for the clock tower parking lot. Street lighting, electricity is going up on that as well. And then the river route is offset by additional revenue. So all told, up 107,000 on 2.5 million, and going from about 2.5 million or to 2.6 million. So just going to pause there. If there's any questions, more than happy to address them.
The roads winter, sorry, I didn't see if is that snow removal as well?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Campbell?
Through you, Mayor Shankar, do we know, Matthew, why OCIF was decreased? Is there a reason?
They are recalculating year over year. Our change was relatively small. A lot of municipalities had decreases of a limit of 15%. As a total, ours was in the 10% range. But it's the calculation is a little bit of a mystery, and it's judging the needs of your municipality against every other municipality in Ontario.
So it's not based on population or what you've done before?
No, it's simply based on the total assets the municipality has and the cost to replace those assets going forward.
Thank you. Oh, Councillor Kirkby?
Matthew, through you, Mayor Shankar. The insurance on the bridge, so is that the insurance that's 16,000, or is that the inspection and the insurance?
So I believe the insurance is about 14,000 and the inspection is about 2.
So just out of curiosity, because we said we never had insurance on the bridge before, so I'm assuming the overpass. Just the one overpass?
That's correct, just the CN overpass.
Would that insurance cover us if a train derailed and hit that bridge?
So it's a great question. Yeah, it would be who was at fault in that negligence. So at the end of the day, we're covered, whether they go after CN's insurance to offset that loss, then that would be up to the insurance company.
And so I guess the bridge insurance, I just assumed that would be covered under our normal road insurance. So what is the purpose of a bridge insurance separate from what would be regular insurance?
So we allocate all of our insurance across all different departments. And so because this was new and specific to bridge, then we just put it in the bridge department. Otherwise, it would just show up under operations. But roads in and of themselves aren't insured. So a bridge as an asset is unique in and of itself.
Perfect explanation, thank you.
All right. Sorry, it is a perfect explanation, but what do we need insurance for on the bridge then?
So if there's a catastrophic failure of the bridge, then it will be covered.
Kelly, if I may ask another question. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Catastrophic failure in what terms? Natural disaster or a contractor didn't do the right job on a bridge?
No, that would be more negative lens, but this is natural disaster, things like that. Truck goes over the bridge, whatever was in the fails, those types of things. It's not dissimilar to having insurance on this building. Somebody drove into the building, again, probably would be their insurance that would pony it up, but it having insurance on the building, therefore you're covered. It's unique. It's not something that we've had before, to be perfectly honest, in terms of bridge insurance.
Yeah.
But it does cover us in the event of catastrophic failure.
And that's 14,000 a year.
Correct. On an $8.5 million bridge.
Pretty big sum.
In that case,
And really, that's what we have to keep in mind, is that,
Right.
you know, even with the new ACCT, it's a $22 million building, the insurance is about 35,000. So, you know, when you kind of measure it against the total cost, that's when they're like, okay, I can see how that costs that.
all right, very good.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to the recreation side. So we have recreation culture, parks, recreation program, walk house, marina, pool, library, Leo Boyden Community Center, Seymour Recreation Complex, and museum. So taking a look at rec culture, and really what this budget does is it provides our community grants, it provides a grant to the cemetery, and it provides the overall grant to the library. So when you kind of take a look at what that's looking like, we mentioned earlier in the budget process that in order for the cemetery to start to take care of and repair some of the stones, that they felt that an additional $6,000 was needed to help support that initiative and that endeavor. From a community grant standpoint, that was one of the assumptions that we put in, that would be equal to the prior year's 1% of property taxes, and then the library is asking for an additional 19,000 from the town in terms of a grant. So really that's what is making up that increase. When it comes to parks, there again, we have a fairly large increase due to repairs, maintenance, those types of things. Recreation program, that is where the manager of community services, as well as all the recreation assistants come out of, and really supports all of those programs, recreation, pickleball, all of the events at the ACC, as well as recreation events throughout the year. Walkers, really, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that we were going after a $25,000 grant. And so that increased the revenue by 14,000, but also increased the expenses by 14,000. Marina, a slight decrease in the overall expenses, and it's the exact same decrease in the revenue side. We believe that we're taking a look at how we're actually reconfiguring Dock B so that we can actually put bigger boats on Dock B, parking parallel to the dock as opposed to perpendicular. And that should allow us to open up a few other spaces in the marina as well to provide spaces for those larger boats. Pool, really that's just a function of the increase, annual increase in the YMCA contract. Leo Boyden Community Center, not really any large increases there. The Seymour Recreation Complex, Lanchard Community Center, it's an increase of 129,000, but it's a net increase of 125, or sorry, a net increase of about 4,500. Because we generated an additional 125,000 in revenue. We have confirmed with Edwardsburg Cardinal that our intention is to stay open until May 15th again this year, and they're fine with us opening back up at the beginning of August. August was a very beneficial month. We generated approximately $7,000 in rental revenue just for that particular month, which far and away was the only profitable month that we ever had. It's because we're actually filling daytime hours versus when we get to fall and winter, spring, we're not able to fill those daytime hours. So really it was beneficial. Oddly enough, the energy usage wasn't catastrophic in comparison to a normal month. So that worked really well from that perspective. As I mentioned, the library is asking for slightly more money, and then a small increase in museum budget. So a total of 9% increase, or 252,000. Whereas you subtract the 140,000, then it's a much smaller increase of less than 5% that we're talking about. So when we take a look at where we are to date, so a total budget of 10.6 million in 2024, very close in 2024 projection. And then the budget for 2020, sorry, I should read is going up by 656,000, but there's a number of areas in there that are increasing revenue. And so not to be too concerned about the number at this point. As we get to environmental, that actual expenses going down by over approximately 100,000. So that will start to bring back the numbers. There's also some additions on the revenue side that we've talked about, and we will discuss on March 3rd. And then we'll have a good idea of where we are. At this point, I need to do a little bit more trimming, but we're somewhere in the 3.5% to 4% range of where we're aiming for after I do my trimming. Before I do my trimming, we're between 4 and 4.5. But that's certainly something that we're continuing to aim for.
Matthew, on the previous slide, under rec culture, you have the library going up 19.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have a line item for library itself.
Yeah. So the line item for the library is their total expenses, but then there's an offset in revenue as well as in the expense, and that's what you're seeing in the rec culture line. So when we go to do our financial statements, we remove both of those numbers, but for the purpose of doing the library statements as well as the cemetery, they're separate entities in terms of how we audit them. Then we have to show a revenue and an expense.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions for Matthew? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next is staff report 2025, heritage property designation, 490 Center Street and 425 Center Street. This will be presented by Ms. Velkamp. I'm just going to read the motion first. That staff be directed to give notice of council's intent to designate the following properties as being of cultural heritage value or interest pursuant to section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act, RSL. All right, Ms. Velkamp, the floor is yours. Oh, sorry, I need a mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Burton and Councillor Kirkby. There you go.
Thank you.
I saw that look, I'm like, what? Oh, yeah.
Through you, Mayor Schenker. So the report provided a brief overview of the changes to the Ontario Heritage Act, which triggered municipalities to have to move their properties that were of interest to either being designated or off the list altogether. The town of Prescott had 25 properties originally when this process first began in 2023. And the Heritage Committee has been reviewing these properties to date. 5 of those properties were recommended from the Heritage Committee and have risen to council to remove those properties, which council did approve on June 3rd, 2024. At the January 16th meeting of the Prescott Heritage Committee, the committee recommended that council begin the designation process for the properties located at 490 Center Street and 425 Center Street, as the recommendation reads. Those properties are more commonly known as St. John's Anglican Church and St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. The report also provided a brief overview of how the committee has been reviewing the properties, which includes the committee members receiving the original write-up documentation from the Heritage Committee from 2013, along with an updated information sheet that's put together by the Granville County Historical Society, and walking by or driving by the property to see from the exterior what the property might have that might want to be preserved. In the process, once council has decided or approved to move forward with the designation process, a notice of intention to designate has to be issued. That then has to be provided to the property owner, the Ontario Heritage Trust, and published in the local newspaper. the Ontario Heritage Act outlines what is required in that notice, which includes a description of the property, statement explaining the cultural heritage value of the property, a description of the attributes of the property, and a statement that provides members of the public to submit an objection. These objections to the designation would have to be provided within 30 days after the date of the publication in the newspaper. An outline is included with the report for the flow chart, to kind of show council what the next steps are in the process. For council's information, objections to the notice of designation can be submitted through the Ontario Land Tribunal or the OLT. Objections are required to be submitted in writing to the clerk within 30 days of publication and then referred to the OLT for a formal hearing process. And the fee associated with that submission is $400, which is set by the OLT. The property owners have appeared before the Heritage Committee. In this case, the representatives for these two properties were in favor. They did come before the committee to express their support. And included with the report are also the draft Schedule Cs. And those Schedule Cs are the features that would be included with the bylaw that would be preserved. So it would speak to attributes that would support the criteria as outlined in the Ontario Heritage Act that would be required to be maintained and protected. That is my report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Falcon. Councillor Kirkby, and Councillor Young?
I think the only big note for me is that the property owners are in favor of the designation. So just to make note of that, as staff Velkamp reported, if the homeowners, in my opinion, are in favor, it's probably the right call. Thank you.
Councillor Young?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I was at the Heritage meeting, and just as a side note too, they were, both the representatives, as Lindsay said, were quite happy about the designation and the fact that they could secure some funding from the CIP grant money that we offer. And I'm not sure, Dana, if they have already maybe or not.
For which property, sorry?
For the church.
Yes, they have in a successful last year, yeah.
So I think there's up to 9,000 grant, and then they can also have $100,000 interest-free loan. So both representatives were very happy that that was made available by the town.
That's good. Anyone else? All right, thank you, Ms. Velkamp. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, 12.3 is staff report 06-2025. A joint party agreement for healthcare recruitment. The motion is that council direct the mayor to sign and execute the joint party agreement for healthcare recruitment as outlined in staff report 06-2025. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Lockett, Councillor Young, Matthew, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So if you remember back to the fall, former Minister Smitherman as well as Shelley Forney Hudson were in to discuss health force innovations and being able to take on an initiative for position recruitment. So since that time, there's been several iterations of the agreements as well as the focus. And more recently, the United Counties has identified that they will be entering into an agreement with Health Force Innovations. The main deliverables is the recruitment of 10 family physicians to practice in Leeds and Grenville, and then supporting and leveraging the READY program that is currently identified Leeds and Grenville as a recipient of foreign healthcare workers. There's also supporting deliverables and developing practice-ready assessment capacity and capability for Leeds and Grenville, developing a primary care practice model for Leeds and Grenville, and developing the all-in community approach to recruitment. So that's the one side of it, which is the agreement between the United Counties and health organizations. The second part of it is really how does this get paid for and how would they allot the expenses between each municipalities. So again, that's been developed over a number of meetings and weeks and months. And what we've come to is that any of the costs in relation to that particular endeavor would be split between the partner municipalities on a per resident basis. So if we take a look, the agreement is initial to January 21st, 2026. And there's a $14,000 base compensation amount. There's additional compensation if a position, a full-time position is actually recruited and establishes a practice, and it's if it's less than full-time, then it would be adjusted proportionally with that. They've also included other healthcare professions, and while it's included in there, it was more to, while they're doing their work, if they come across any of those particular specialties, that being able to support that, perhaps sort of a family member, a spouse, things like that, to be able to provide those other positions. And then also, obviously, travel expenses, and then expenses for doing some background work and being able to establish some of those other deliverables. So in terms of that, Prescott has 3.92% of the total population of the Leeds and Grenville area. And so our first year contribution would be somewhere between 7,400 and up to as high as 18,000. 18,000 would be if they recruit 10 physicians. I think it's, well, I would love to be able to sit here and say that at the end of the year that we recruited 10 physicians. I think we also need to be realistic and understand that it will be somewhere between that 7,400 and the top end amount. As we previously noted in a prior report, that we would be using the amount that the St. Lawrence Lodge levy decreased by in 2024 versus when we passed the budget versus when the revision of the levy was, and we put that $102,000 into a reserve. So it's now sitting there to be used for one-time items such as this, and certainly goes along in terms of healthcare and being able to support the community with that. I think one of the things that we also look at is the request from the Prescott Family Health Team. And they've identified that they can take up physically 2 more physical positions into their practice. And really that's going to be very attractive to anyone that's coming in. They will want to, join a family health team or a community health center where everything is already established. They don't have to go and set up a new office. They don't have to worry about billing. They don't have to, do all of that administrative work. So the fact that Prescott Family Health Team has the capacity, both physically and organizationally, to take on 2 more, then that is really a bonus and where we're going to focus our requests when it comes to new physicians, that we have that capacity and space available. So more than happy to answer any questions there might be, and we can go from there. Thank you.
Councillor Campbell?
So, through you, Mayor Shanker. So I'm not seeing Augusta here or
United Counties.
the United County.
The United Counties is the upper tier, is covering all of the lower tier's costs.
Okay, so that it's because no one.
Correct.
That,
So
that,
all of the other municipalities are lower tiers with the exception of Rockville, Gananoque, and Prescott.
okay, so just so I get this straight, so if no physician wants to come to Prescott, you're paying approximately $7,000 to find that out. And what have they said, Smitherman and
Sherry Hudson.
Yeah, what have they said in terms of how they're gonna present all these different places to work?
So really what their foundational work is getting a great understanding of where the capacity lies in terms of physical space as well as organization preparedness. So they'll take that with them when they go to do the recruiting, say, here's the list. So obviously there's Athens, Marrickville, Gananoque, Westport, there's one in Portland, Prescott, Rockville, and Gananoque. So those will kind of be what they'll start with and say, for Leeds Grenville, here's the opportunities where you could be a family physician and you can hit the ground running with an office already established.
Okay, because Prescott Family Health Team keeps insisting they've been trying, and no, no one wants to come to Prescott because there's no hospital. Those kind of things. Have they done any? I guess they'll get into that kind of research as they get going.
Sure.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Kirkby?
Through you, Mayor Schenker. Matthew, so you talked about, when they go to make these presentations, they'll have data with them to say, you can come here, right? So let me ask you this then. Would this group take something from, example, Prescott Family Health Team to say, this group has 2 spaces here and here's the information?
Absolutely. So we would work with the Prescott Family Health Team, provide all of that information to Health Force Innovations and say, we're ready, here's what the organization looks like. Here's the advantages of coming to Prescott and being able to work in this particular environment, in this particular office. And so we want to work very closely with them, bring them in, and then be ready to answer any questions that might be of any interested candidates.
In the package, would we slip in not only work, but live in?
Absolutely. Yeah, and we will work with our. And really talk about, it's cheaper to live in Prescott in terms of housing. It's, we have great amenities such as the Seaboard Recreation Complex, splash pad, great for families. We have elementary and secondary schools. We have a river route, transit service. So all of those types of things start to become your work-life balance and the enjoyment of community, being able to really establish yourself and have a lower cost of living while also experiencing all of those things that larger places have.
And so my last question, and I believe it to be true, but we're sure that we'll get fair representation up against the upper counties or,
Yeah, absolutely. And so, at the end of the day, the majority of doctors are in Prescott, Gananoque, and Rockville. So, there's relatively fewer, there's only a couple of handful of them out there in terms of community health centers or family health teams. So yeah, I think, and it's, there's no limitation or OHIP does not provide a limitation of, so let's say new doctors in Gananoque, or you can get on the waiting list, you can go to a doctor in Gananoque. There's no limitations in terms of distance, right, from where you are and where you can go and see someone.
Oh, I just hate to see 10 doctors all day in Gananoque.
No, absolutely.
Because they have a casino. But yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Councillor Young?
Thank you, Mayor Schenker. Matthew, for the cost sharing agreement and our proportional share 3.92%, can we assume that the other partners are ready to sign?
Between this week and next, all of the other partners will be going and having the exact same discussion. So my understanding, United Counties is 100% on board. If council deems it, we're on board. I think City of Rockville, I think there's support there. I believe there's support in Gananoque. So really, if I had to guess, Gananoque might be the one that, because they do have a program that they've had up and running for the last couple of years. But I think we all see the benefit of contributing towards this and moving it forward. And for the benefit of Leeds and Grenville in total. And I think one of the things that we saw when the Prescott Family Health Team took a look at the numbers is that there is a substantial portion, about 25% of their total patients that are outside of Augusta, Prescott, and Edwardsburg Cardinals. So just because a physician ends up in one place doesn't preclude you from going and being able to be rostered by that particular physician.
Mhm. Yep, go ahead.
One follow-up. Thank you. Matthew, I agree with you, that one of the wild cards here would be the town of Gann. So I thought Brockville passers, by the way, or they
And
pass.
they're putting a health levy on, so I'm pretty sure they're gonna pass.
That's, okay.
Yeah.
So if Gann was to opt out, am I correct that our 7,300 or 7,400 is probably around 8,900? That'll be kind of.
Just one more, please.
I was gonna, won't be elated, I knew. But it's not much, is I guess my point. It's not like we're gonna say, we're gonna jump up to 14,000.
No,
No.
I mean, the best thing of this whole report is if we get 10 physicians in the area, it only costs us 17,000 and we have 102.
I look forward to paying it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I would gladly pay that.
I gladly pay it.
For 10 physicians. So, and that is the
I'll do it, eh?
cost structure that we had talked about and that's how it will break out.
We had further conversations in terms of the four partners, and we came to the agreement to bring forward one that's based on simply on
Perfect.
per population as opposed to any other.
Not half and half, none of that. Oh, okay. Because initially they had a proposal that was, if we got 4 doctors, we were gonna end up paying a fair amount. But this way it's better. It's just, we're going with the standard. This is the percentage, 3.92,
So our percentage would move from 3.92 to 4.13. So it's less than $1,000 difference per year.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Boss.
Through you, Mayor Shankar, did they talk about their deliverables? I can't remember if they had timelines for those, like when they say they're gonna try to recruit 10 family doctors.
So I think the intention is that that will be over 3 years. The initial term of the agreement is for to January 31st of 2026. With the intention of if things are moving along well, come fall, then they would look to add another year to the agreement. So I think if you think of this as in terms of a 3-year project, really that's what we're looking at.
With a 1-year opt-in. That's kind of what it says.
Yeah, and so you're gonna go from year to year, so if they get to the fall, things are moving well, they sign on till January 1st, 2027. And then the following follow-up there again.
Yeah, I like seeing real movement, and I know, they have to develop models and this and that, but it'd be nice to see real movement.
Absolutely, and so I would expect that
What's the focus?
quarterly or semi-annually, we'll be coming back and having that conversation, saying, here's how it's progressing, here's what, here's some roadblocks that we found, here's some avenues that we didn't think about before, and things are progressing well, or that perhaps we should rethink this.
Matthew, in the terms, it does say a 3-year, the agreement is from 25 to 28.
So the agreement between the 4 partners is for 3 years. The agreement with Healthforce Innovations is an initial 1 year.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions? All right, we do have a motion on the floor. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, next is 12.4, staff report 07-2025. Rooftop HVAC heating and cooling replacement on the second floor right here. Mr. Matlock, you've got the floor.
Shankar. So on January 2nd, we had staff notice a gas smell on the second floor and the third floor, and so we brought in a contractor. Confirmed, yes, it's the unit for the grand room, just to make it set up here. So it's one off of a separate heating and cooling unit. The unit is from 2003. There's now a known gas leak, so it's been shut down, it's been red tagged. We can't use the unit until it's been repaired or replaced. Due to the age and condition of that unit, The contractor we had in looking at it recommended replacement rather than a repair. Just because we are already kind of beyond the expected service life of that type of unit. So the price we were given from the one source was 16,400 plus HST. So a net cost of 16,700. Staff is out seeking additional quotes right now. We're waiting on 3 more quotes to be delivered this week. So we know that the highest replacement cost we're looking at is at 16,700. So based on the recommendation and based on the age and condition of the equipment, we are seeking a replacement. This replacement was not planned for 2025. This is a unit that hasn't really been in regular service since before 2018. Obviously, that part of the building has been under renovation and under abatement for a long period of time before that. So we're seeking to take dollars from the building reserve fund. At the end of 2024, there was $99,200 available in that fund. As part of this year's budget, we're seeking to add another $24,550. And so there is money in that reserve fund to spend 16,700 out of it. Just on the grand room in general, because of that unit being down, we are not taking bookings in that room currently until we either repair or replace that unit.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions for Matt? Seems like a simple thing. Councilor Burton?
I'd like to move the conversation.
Oh, sure. I missed that part, didn't I?
Okay.
You'd like to move it? Would someone like to second it? Councilor Kirkby? All right. Any further questions? The machine's broken. We gotta get a new one.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor?
It's not gonna get any cheaper.
Barry, thank you.
Get it within 30 days, or there's 10.
Get it quick. All right, no resolutions tonight. Ooh. No bylaws, no new business. Is there any new business, I should say? No. No notices of motions, no mayor's proclamations, no media. Beautiful. All right. We got a motion that council move into closed session at 7:15 PM to discuss matters pertaining to closed session minutes and purchase and sale. CAO treasurer, director of administration and clerk, economic development officer, and deputy clerk remain in the room. That means everyone else gets to go. That means you go.
Yeah.
Yes, moved.